What's the best way for us to be on target and on track to hit all of the metrics that we need? It's weekly reporting. Here's the master, Molly McGrath.
You can kill 5,000 birds with one stone in this one meeting with one report. So I'm going to show you the report of how you can have the State of the Union for the law firm. This is coming out of Lawmatics, Clio, Action Step. Hopefully you're in the habit of attending Open Coaching and Growing Hour for technology and CRM, workflows and reporting with John and Beth every single Friday. They do this specifically for you all, for Law Firm Admin Bootcamp. You should be attending weekly coaching hours with John and Beth Fridays at noon Eastern. It's on the calendar in the back end of the academy. We're constantly sending reminders. They charge $195 an hour. That's a discounted rate for Law Firm Admin Bootcamp. If your attorney was to go out and hire a Lawmatics or CRM consultant, what have you, I've seen quotes as high as like $10,000 a month. So here's your opportunity to be an everyday hero. You should be going to John and Beth, and with this report, which by the way comes from them, they've taught, you see John in the back end of the academy on modules, client services and intake training, that 9 module. By the way, if you're in those positions, highly recommend you go back and you listen to that in addition, especially when we finish the 12 weeks. That should be your next module, because after the 12-week foundation's done, your learning's not over. You should always be going in the back end of the academy and attending an additional training to enhance your skills and your growth plan. And it will start to make sense when you hear multiple conversations about your craft and your department and your KPIs. So this is a report you ultimately want to get. Do not freak out looking at this. This is where we're ultimately going. I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to go back to good old-fashioned back to basics and show you an Excel spreadsheet that you have access here to. If you can't furnish this out of your CRM, this is what you're going to work towards, going every Friday with John and Beth. If you have virtual assistant, have them there too so they can actually do it in your CRM. And they're going to train you. They're going to show you. They're going to give you all the hacks. They're going to streamline this. They're going to launch it for you. And ultimately, if you're going every single week, within 30 days, you'll be able to furnish this report. So this is what we're looking at. This is the State of the Union. These are the analytics and reporting. Let me go here. From everywhere. So here's intake and marketing. In regards to where we're at, how many initial contacts, where are we at with them? We have your 7-day summary, and then we're looking at a month in a glance. Guys, if you're pulling this up in your conference room or Zoom room or both, for depending on how your team's made up, it should take you no more than 10 minutes after you do this week after week after week to go through this, because this is all, everybody knows what to expect. They have a copy of it there if they're in-house. We're looking at it. Once you start doing this week after week after week, you're going to know the information, the data, what questions you're going to be able to spot, spot very easily, what have you. Just like the marketing module and everything I've taught up until this point, just get started. Don't get overwhelmed. And dear God, nobody is allowed to say, that's not how we do it at this firm. Oh, we don't do that. We are not possibility killers. We are open, we are coachable, we are committed to creative disruption, and we are committed to change, especially when we're uncomfortable, especially when we're overwhelmed, and especially when we don't know any of the information. Make the commitment to start looking at this every single week. So this is where we're at with consults after workshops, with, you can see right here where our percentages are. In this report, if you have it live in your CRM, you can actually pull down the menus and what have you. You don't need a paper report. You don't even have to do anything to prepare for that as a critical team member, as a team lead, as a PLA, as a CSD, whatever your term and title is. You can pull it down in real time when people ask questions and bifurcate this through the attorney, the service, and marketing, what have you, to get the data and information. It allows you to do a health check to see where we're at. How many leads are we at that have no stage? They're not in follow-up. They're not scheduled for a sales meeting or initial consultation. It tells us where people from past meetings are still on a step. Are they on the intro call, workshop? Are they still sitting in initial consultation? What have you. It gives you all your data and your information. If we have that nobody's in follow-up, and we don't have anyone for client services and intake to follow up, that's an indicator to you we're in trouble. There should always be a ton of people in follow-up. Here's a sidebar. I will hear from team members time and time again that I have 70 people in follow-up, or, how am I going to get that number down? The goal is never to get that number down. And based on your process of how many follow-up calls you make, how many touches you make for either phone calls, texts, emails, what have you, always phone. The phone will make you rich, especially in the personal service industry, especially in the legal space. You'll knock the crap out of your competition if you actually pick up the phone, because everyone's hiding out behind automations and technologies and emails anymore. You're still going to do that, but you're going to be doing it. So your goal is never to clean up your follow-up. You always want follow-up. If we don't have anyone in the pipeline, total PNCs here, then we know marketing, when you're giving this analytic report, like, we're done. We're tapped out. We're donezo. We have no more leads to follow up. Marketing, what are you doing about this? So it's really a team approach to reach goal, not finger pointing. You're just giving the information, like, good to know. Thank you. It's going to take us 60 days to turn this around. So gang, let's never get in this position again, because then it causes a tremendous amount of anxiety. Remember, root of all anxiety is lack of information. And then here we're looking at where we're at with our goal attained. Remember the ideal week and where we're at and where we want to be. And this is all front of the house, pre-engagement, sales and marketing. I know you don't like the word sales, but if you're answering phones, you're in sales. If you're consulting clients in the conference room, the definition of sales is get people to hire us through that process. So it tells us where we're at with this. Then it gives us an opportunity to move into last week's initial contact status, where we're at. You can read the report here. How many are going to consultations? How many are going to workshop? How many are still sitting in follow-up? And how many that didn't schedule? We're looking at last week at a glance. Our consults. So how many consults did we have? How many retained us? 0. Like, you cannot hide from this. And we're looking at that. And when you're giving the report, you're like, just a reminder, we're going on week 4. We're going on week 2 of 0. Retained last week is 10%. This week it's 0. And next week we don't have any leads to follow up with. And we only have 2 consults on the calendar. And even if we get 100%, we're still not going to reach goal this month. What do we want to do about it, team? And we're having a conversation. And then we're looking at consultations after the workshop, and then consults after workshop retained. I love this number because it's a hell of a ROI in regards to 57.14. Like, that's incredible. And then we can look very quickly at the ones that did not move forward. I'm looking really quick and I'm like, I'm the paralegal who did the probate initially. You know what? Let me call Mercedes. I'm going to take that one on because I know this and this and this, and she will hire us. And let me remind her why she wants to. And the attorney's like, I'm going to take, McKinley. I absolutely blah, blah, blah. I talked to the financial advisor last night at the cocktail party. He was there. Let me call her. So boom, we're just doing it. You're making note and then you're following up. Okay, real quick, when are you going to call them by? Or they might say client service, call McKinley, get her on my calendar, schedule a 15-minute meeting. Done. Like, that took 4 seconds to have that conversation. looking at previous workshop results, and then we're looking at all of our conversions and where we're at, how many we referred out. We're not spending a lot of time on this. It is all clear. We're in week 3 of looking at this. I know where I'm going if I'm in sales and marketing. I'm going to pay attention to workshop, initial contact, boom, boom, boom. And then, if I'm paralegal and I'm going to be getting all the work post-engagement, I'm looking at this engaged number here and where we're at with that and what's coming at me so I can pay attention at. They're also doing it in the right here, last consult. So if I'm looking at what's coming at me, if we didn't get anyone retained as paralegal, I'm twiddling my thumbs. There's no new work coming at me, or associate attorney, or however you have your team set up post-engagement. Or if this is 100%, when we're looking at that right here, 12. So this tells me 12 people hired us last week that went to the workshop. And the reason that our conversion rate versus the ones that just came in for initial consultation didn't go through the workshop, and guess what? Nobody hired us. We're telling them, okay, time out. Everybody goes to a workshop. If they can't make it to it, then give them the webinar or the recorded workshop, but they have to watch it before they come. Because this is like week, whatever, that people that do not go to a workshop do not hire us. So I'm a paralegal. I'm like, okay, got it. I have 12 new files coming to me. I already have 4 that are in the pipeline, what have you. Okay, and then we could have a conversation. You're like, guys, time out. I am maxed out with my caseload, what have you. These 12 that are coming to me, if I look at my time template and I look at my tasks or what have you, I don't even see that I'm probably going to be able to touch those for a week or 2. Then we can have a conversation about, go back to time effectiveness exercise, talk about where we can delegate and elevate and things of that nature. So it gives us a tremendous amount of information. This is why a paralegal or production person is very excited about this report. They need to know what's going on in marketing. They need to know what's going in the conference room. They need to know what's coming at them. So then we can look at our conversion rates per attorney, if you have multiple attorneys, and then where we are at with our throughput, which means that the things that are still sitting in production and where they're at and where we're doing with the quarter. We see Q4 was a banger. So then we can pull it down by service, by attorney, by marketing again. We can look at our marketing focuser, the referral sources or power partners that I told you about earlier. We can look at this and really see where we're at with that. We look at our pipeline focuser and what we have coming at us in a pipeline. So if we have an empty calendar this week, and I'm looking at this as the attorney, and I'm like, okay, we have $208,000 sitting in the pipeline right now. I'm not going to freak out, but we're going to talk about what we're doing to get, all future scheduled client meetings and potential revenue that's out there. How many are still in workshop? How many are on consultations? You're like, all right, it's okay. We got 12 upcoming estate planning consultations. We have, we look at our consultations after the workshop that are out there. We're okay. We're doing good, but I want to make sure client services or whoever really focusing on follow-up this week. Pick up the phone and let's start looking at this daily huddle. I want to just review how many calls you made. And by way of example, go back to the training that I did on the daily progress report to show you the impact of follow-up, to show you what's available. Look at the sample daily progress report and see the difference in regards to how that impacts this weekly reporting significantly. You're going to be the favorite person in the law firm, no doubt about it. And then we're looking at our 7-day upcoming meeting focuser and where we're at with that, upcoming workshops, initial contacts, and where we're at in regards to that, and making sure we're on track. And in addition, if you do multiple service areas, which service area and where we're at with that. And again, where we're at with intro calls, workshops, all of that, engage, looking at that. Paralegals, legal assistants, production team are going to be hyper focused on this because guess what? Those files are all coming to them so they could plan their work and work their plan. So they could delegate and elevate and they could figure out, because that's the biggest worry, fear for every business owner and entrepreneur. Yay, we got hired, a client gave us money, we got a check, what have you. No, it's exciting in the beginning, but what is happening? Somebody just gave us money for legal services. What is the path and plan, and by when, to make sure we deliver on what they just hired us for? Because guess what? That money has to go in the trust account. It's not going in the operating account until we fully deliver on what we were retained for. And so even though the client's credit card just cleared for $5,000 or they just handed us a check, we have not earned that money yet. We cannot ethically move that into our operating account. So it means there is not a check to write for the bonus, even though we earned it. Even though we got paid on it, we did not earn it. And from the Bar Association's perspective, especially with the law firm, that money has to sit in the trust account until we have delivered all services. So if a client hires us and there is no path and plan for every step in the process until we close that file, we're not out of the woods. Paralegal can't plan their work. Attorney can't have full faith and confidence that we earned our money and that we know that the life cycle of the file is 30 days. That's a goal. And we got hired on September 1st, and we will be able to depend and move that money over on October 1st, if not sooner. Or we could have a conversation. Guys who really want to get that number in September. And again, you're reporting this as the data cop. Like, guys, can we move that meeting up to the second week of September or the third week of September? We only need $10,000 more to reach goal, and then we get our monthly bonus. Because I'm going to be talking about this in future modules about incentive-based compensation plans, about bonuses where you get paid out monthly, quarterly, and annually. So do you think as a team member you're not invested? You're like, it's not going to work to do this on October 2nd. It won't count. We're so close, and I want my bonus. So we're having that conversation here. Follow up, this for client services and for intake and where we're at. We're looking at our communication analysis and where people are at. Are they clicking on text? Are they coming through email? Going back to your marketing meeting, you're bringing this report in to that marketing meeting ultimately as well. Where people are coming from, Facebook, Mark Jones, a financial advisor, whatever it might be, and you're looking at that. This is a goal. The sample weekly metrics, it's samples in the back end of the academy. Show up to open coaching hour and literally say to Beth and John, I want this. How do we get this in our law firm? And talk to them. In the meantime, we're going back to the dinosaur age. We're going back to basics. And here, there's no excuse. There is no excuse. And gosh, before CRMs and technologies and automations or what have you, this is how I ran my law firm. This is how I taught everyone with this Excel spreadsheet. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. But this is your weekly tracker, where we are looking at where we're at a current month for our marketing. So this is the same thing-ish. You just are not getting overdue tasks and things of that nature that are highlighting where people post-engagement don't have a next scheduled. Everything should always have a next action as scheduled, and they're not within the workflow or the pipeline or stages, whatever terminology you use. But this tells us everything with marketing. Direct mail, nursing homes, referral sources, private workshops, community workshops, facilities, financial advisors. You get the drill. It's telling us where all our leads are coming from. And we can see, are we hitting goal? Where are we at? Where are we at with current month to date? And then here's your weekly statistics. Every single week, we want to see how many initial contacts that we got. How many of them schedule initial meeting, how many are sitting in follow-up, how many scheduled workshop, how many referred out, and then we have all of our conversion rates. And then we have our month total. This is a sample here. And we're doing that every single week. Then we're looking at our ideal week, meetings this week. Where are we at? And put the naming conventions that work for you. Vision meeting, design meeting, signing meeting, maintenance meetings if you have a maintenance or client care program, power partner meetings or referral source meetings, and things of that nature. Where are we at with our goal, with our ideal week? And then we have the attorney and firm conversions. So week 1, here are we at? What's our hire rate? Where are we at with that? How much money was collected? And it allows for you to do that attorney, or if you have non-attorney or team members in there. So we're doing this every single solitary week, and it has a total. And then it has a firm month to date. So you can, no excuses, go back to basics. I'm a huge fan of this. In fact, sometimes it's fun to even do this and the CRM because it gets in your bones, it gets in your blood, things of that nature. But this is a way for you to show up as an everyday hero, critical team member, legal assistant, virtual assistant, COO, whatever term you're using for this. No excuses. You have to start tracking this. When your attorney can visually see the data and the information, again, end result is to have that master report that I showed first and foremost. But even when they can see this on the Excel spreadsheet, now you're going to have to spend some time in your time template with this because you're going to have to do a lot of this manually. So here's another reason to go back to the attorney and say, this took me, which it does, about an average of an hour and a half each week. So if your meeting's on Fridays, you have to carve out, or Mondays, you have to carve out time on Friday in your calendar, an hour and a half. If we just hired John and Beth or whoever, someone in the Philippines for $10 an hour to create this master report, I would have an hour and a half to do follow-up calls and fill the calendar instead of being a tech master here. And not only that, but when we come and look at the report here, it's small, it's a lot of information, it's a lot of boxes. If we don't really know how to read it, my guess is you're going to spend an hour just talking about this every week. And then eventually get it down to hopefully 15 minutes, but it's going to take extreme facilitation and knowing your numbers and knowing how to manage this report so we don't get in the weeds. But this ultimately where we want to go. So when you start working with this and you, again, give the data and information, say the attorney, okay, great. They're super excited that you showed up with this report. You have all this information, all the data. It's amazing. Pay attention. If you have a high fact finder, they're going to want to spend 4 days on this thing. No, you got to facilitate that with them. But you also want to give the data and information. So just FYI, it took me probably the first time you do this, it's going to take 2 hours plus. I just want to let you know, it took me about 2 hours. Now, be careful if your attorney's like, no, that's stupid. We're not doing this. We don't need to look at that. That's a non-negotiable. We are looking at our data and analytics every single week. So that's not an option. But we're in the business of making decisions, which you've heard me say multiple times. 2 hours that I could be doing follow-up calls, 2 hours that I could be doing workshop, whatever, event marketing, whatever it is that I'm doing, and just hire someone to build us ultimately this report. Bring a copy of this report into the meeting and say, ideally, this is where we're headed. This is true north. This is the end of mine. I talked to John and Beth. It's going to cost us $2,000 to get this set up, easy peasy. I could do a portion of it, or We can hire someone. Molly says you could hire someone in the Philippines to do this, and then we don't have to hire John and Beth. Propose solutions, propose solutions, propose solutions, data and analytics, and giving them the information. You don't want to come in there all deflated. And this report took me 2 hours. This is so stupid. I don't know why we're doing law firm admin boot camp. This is a waste of time. No, check your attitude. Check your ownership of this. And make certain that you are not coming in with that energy. And you're coming in and saying, this is giving us clarity of the state of the union of our business. This information is so eye-opening. I hear from people in weekly coaching hour of why this information is so helpful. I see it with John and Beth on Fridays when I spend time with them. This is non-negotiable. We're doing this. But as a business owner decision, and from a place of everyone being in their 80% and the ROI on every activity, every hour, every dollar, this took 2 hours. And my recommendation yesterday, I spent 1 hour making follow-up calls, and I booked 2 appointments, which each is potential $10,000. My recommendation is I take this 2 hours, do more phone calls, and the law of averages, I'm going to book 4 appointments, which is $20,000, and there's our money to hire someone to implement this in the CRM. That's how you want to report it. Not, this took me 2 hours, this sucks. No. If that's how you're going to show up, and that's still your mindset, when we're sitting here 9 weeks in Module 9, we have a bigger problem. And if that's the case, get on the calendar with me or Lainey, and let's talk about where your resistance is and why, so we can shift that immediately. So this is CEO stuff, gang. Seriously, this is CEO analytics for every department, every person. And when we go into KPIs in the next modules, you're going to see how this, again, everything is a building block. And then everything connects. So hopefully you're starting to see this. You're seeing your time template in motion. You're seeing your job description in motion. You're seeing the ideal week in motion. And you're also seeing incredibly clear why we're not reaching revenue goal. Or if you are, like, holy crap, if we could just double down on this, this, and this, we're going to 3x our practice this year. But you're giving the information versus the attorney meeting with their CFO once a month or quarter. We're not doing things after the fact. Most business owners, most attorneys look at reports and look at analytics after the fact. Well, that's great, but would have been nice if we knew that in week 1 of Q2. Would have been nice if we knew that in week 3 of Q2. We could have made informed decisions, and we could have made one small step that could literally almost double our practice. So you get the point. So your homework and your action plan for Module 9.
Control freak, it's what my staff thinks. They may be right, because this treadmill of dread running through my head keeps me up at night. I'm so tired of micromanaging. How do I train, manage, and lead? I can't find time to be visionary, head down in the weeds. We're gonna tighten up this operation. We're gonna build a strong foundation. No more chaos and confusion. We'll build a team that brings solutions. I see what could be, and I can't wait. Law firm admin boot camp is the way. We're signing up today. Law firm admin boot camp is the way.